This week on The Big Show, time to take your midterm. Can Republicans take down Harry Reid and the Democrats in the Senate? Political hipster guru Nathan Gonzales is here.
The map favors Republicans. The most competitive states in the country right now are in Republican-leaning states.
Also, the Brody File is stalking again, this time Jennifer Wishon in Guatemala with Senator Rand Paul. What's up with that? The doctor is in.
This is your passion, right?
Yeah, I love doing surgery, and I first got interested in ophthalmology because my grandmother had a lot of problems.
And honoring World War II veterans who sacrificed for the freedoms that we have today.
They were a generation that didn't feel that they deserved anything. They just did their job, and they did a very good job.
The Brody File, well rested, well fed, and, well, we're on across America. Next. And welcome everybody to another edition of the Brody File. We are glad you're with us. Look, I want to break the bad news up front. It is time for a test. Now, don't worry, you're not going to need a number 2 pencil. We're not going to grade you. Actually, this test is for all the politicians that are running for office during the midterm election season, and we call it the midterms. Well, President Obama isn't getting a very good grade, and that is not good news for Democrats running this fall. The president's party, thanks to him, are in danger of losing control of the Senate. I mean, at this point, the only number lower than the president's approval number is the Brody File annual budget. Look at these numbers. I mean, yikes. When the president first came into office back in 2009, his approval rating was at an all-time high, 64%. Yippee. Now, almost 6 years later, it's in the toilet. Get the plunger. He's sitting at a 42% approval rating. I mean, Justin Bieber may even be higher than that. Anyhow, here's the state of the Senate at this point. This is the big focus in November. 9 races that are deemed toss-ups: Arkansas, Louisiana, North Carolina, Colorado, Georgia, Kentucky, Kansas, Michigan, and Iowa. The Brody File has vacation homes in all of those states. Well, we don't, but that's all right. Republicans need to win a net gain of 6 seats to win back control. So can they do it? Nike would say, just do it. We'll see. How is all of this going to play out? Time to turn to the Brody File's main political pollster, hipster guru, Nathan Gonzales, with the Rothenberg Political Report, who makes sense of it all. Nathan, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Look, the state of the midterm elections. Where are we exactly? Let's talk about the Senate, obviously. And does it look promising for the GOP?
Well, Republicans need a net gain of 6 seats to get to control. They need 51 because if they only get to 50, then Vice President Biden is the tiebreaker. So 51 is the key number. The map favors Republicans. The most competitive states in the country right now are in Republican-leaning states that Mitt Romney won in 2012. So the map is favorable. You add to that there were 3 Democratic open seats that are ripe for Republican takeover in West Virginia, Montana, and South Dakota. Mm-hmm. So that's 3 of the 6. That's halfway there. But then you get into this other mix of incumbents, Democratic incumbents, that are representing red states, whether it be a Mark Pryor in Arkansas, Mark Begich in Alaska, where Republicans are going to have to defeat 2 or 3 of those probably, depending on also the open seat in Iowa. So right now I think Republicans have a better than even chance of winning the Senate, but those last 2 or 3 races are going to be, I think, hand-to-hand combat.
What is your sense between, let's say, Begich and Pryor and Landrieu, maybe even Kay Hagan having to defend the seat in North Carolina? Who's in the most jeopardy here, would you say, out of those that I just mentioned?
I think Mark Pryor in Arkansas is the most vulnerable. The president has never been popular in Arkansas. He continues to be deeply unpopular. Nationally, the president's job approval numbers are probably in the low 40%. In Arkansas, he's in the low 30%. And so, Pryor has a family name that he's built up. People know him, but that's a lot to overcome for people that are dissatisfied with the president. There's only one vote in a midterm election. If you don't like what the president's doing, you vote against the people that are in his party. Right. So I think it starts with Pryor. I think Begich Begich has been the beneficiary of a late primary. Republicans just chose their nominee a few weeks ago. And so I think he looks a little bit better now than what he'll be in a few weeks. Yeah, and he's getting quite a blowback now from an ad trying to hold the Republican, Dan Sullivan, who was Attorney General, trying to hold him responsible for a case that is much murkier than what the ad played out, and he had to pull down the ad because of the family. So I think Begich is in serious jeopardy, and I think Hagan, I mean, if you ask me what race, what's the bellwether race in the Senate, I think you probably should look to North Carolina.
That is Nathan Gonzales here on the Brody File. All right, well, look, the midterm elections are always a moment in political history. That transitions us to our next segment. We have a new Brody File contributor. From time to time, Matt Keaty is going to bring us a blast from the past that can make all of us Americans feel proud of our country, and we call it Random Acts of History.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Mr. Gorbachev.
One by one, as these veterans filed off the bus,
Thank you. Thank you.
supporters greeted them with a hero's welcome.
My husband and I come almost every Saturday to the memorial to meet the Honor Flight Network groups coming in. It's a wonderful program.
Well, thanks to the Honor Flight Network, groups of veterans from across the country are brought here to the World War II Memorial, a place dedicated to their courage and sacrifice. But the unmistakable message given to these veterans, you mattered then and you matter now.
The free trip to visit the memorial comes courtesy of the Honor Flight Network.
The World War II veterans, they were a generation that didn't feel that they deserved anything. They just did their job, and they did a very good job. So this is a small token of paying them back.
The veterans we spoke with were from Ohio. Some of them went to fight overseas at the young age of 17. Decades later, you can still hear their sense of duty and love of country.
I didn't want to wait for them to draft me. I wanted to go where I wanted to go.
A country that had been good to me, I wanted to serve it.
They took pictures, shook hands, and recounted events that forever changed their lives.
This Japanese suicide bomber was trying to hit a battleship that was over here, and he missed, and he hit the front of our ship.
One of my brothers was killed at Guatemala and his ship was sunk. My mother never got over that, and it affected the rest of us.
Jim Bennett, who served during high school, said he will always remember this moment.
It happened just a few minutes ago up here at the top when Elizabeth Dole came up to me and thanked me and hugged me.
Having served our country over 70 years ago, and now being honored at their memorial, they shared a prayer for America's future.
Of course, we hope for peace, prosperity.
We need to get back to Christian values, and of course it's very distressing to see what's happened around the world.
To reestablish the proper relationship with our Lord.
The Honor Flight Network, inspiring Americans to say thank you, no matter what day it is.
It's a great way to share your faith and to share your love for others, to help these veterans.
Matthew Keaty for the Brody File.
That is Matt Keaty on board. We are glad to have him part of the team. All right, when we come back, we've got a hot segment. Rand Paul is sweating. Don't worry, Jenny in the B block is having a good hair day. That's all that matters. A trip down to Guatemala when the Brody File rolls on. And welcome back to the Brody File. All right, well, look, time for Jenny in the B block, and she is taking her dance techniques to Guatemala. So what in the world is Jenny doing down there in Central America? I mean, maybe she's trying to get Brody File show distribution down there, maybe. Or maybe she's down there with Senator Rand Paul. But why is he down there? I mean, I'm confusing myself. So let's check in with Jenny. She is our English and Spanish correspondent here on the Brody File. Hola, Jenny.
Hola, David. ¿Cómo está? Welcome to beautiful Guatemala. It is an amazing country with incredibly warm people and also a lot of poverty. And for many of those folks, access to health care is almost non-existent. But the good news is there is a group of Americans here to help, including none other than Kentucky Senator Rand Paul.
I thought when I was elected I would actually get to practice medicine and get to do surgery, and then I was told I wasn't allowed other than I can do it for charity. So I do some in Kentucky 4 or 5 times a year.
And now in Guatemala, the Republican senator joined a team of doctors from the Moran Eye Center at the University of Utah to perform hundreds of cataract surgeries. This is your passion, right?
Yeah, I love doing surgery, and I first got interested in ophthalmology because my grandmother had a lot of problems.
He was reunited with the Hernandez brothers, Guatemalans who traveled to Bowling Green nearly 20 years ago for Paul to operate on their eyes.
Hold your hand. Mira aquí.
Here in Salama, there's just one ophthalmologist serving nearly 500,000 people. And since more than half of all Guatemalans live below the poverty line, most people can't afford eye care. Many of these people haven't seen well or at all in years.
Right now we're opening up the capsule.
Paul wanted to focus attention on his surgical skills, but he invited media on the trip, some suspect to cast himself into new light for some conservatives who see him as weak on foreign policy. Something he calls a dirty rumor.
Some of the narrative is driven by people who are competitors who would like to be the one leading the party or leading what our party stands for. But the bottom line is I'm a big follower of Ronald Reagan and believe in peace through strength. And I believe it's the #1 priority of the government is to defend us against foreign attack.
Thousands of children have fled Guatemala this year, many unaccompanied, to cross the U.S. border illegally. Paul met with Guatemalan President Otto Molina to discuss a solution he thinks could ease the pressure.
Some of the things could be fixed. There are thousands of people who in America who want to adopt kids from Guatemala. A lot of kids don't have parents or don't have sufficient support here. So really, part of the answer is legal immigration. Let's have more legal immigration. Let's have more adoption.
And when it comes to the immigration reform stalemate in Washington, Paul's sticking to his demand to secure the border before anything else.
The problem we have is that we've been doing the reverse. We've been promising people things without, securing the border. And so really, the first thing you have to do is securing the border. But it's interesting, securing isn't always sort of fence or barbed wire or things like that. Securing is also having an adequate work program, because we actually want people to come to our country to work. 400,000 people come to pick crops every year in America. So it's a matter of trying to figure out how to do it in an orderly fashion.
And the good news is, long after Senator Paul and our cameras leave, the folks here in Salama will continue to receive care. David.
Jenny, I want to ask you, any word or sense on what Rand Paul might do when it comes to running for president? I mean, is there any way to read him one way or the other down there in Guatemala?
Well, David, we know that Senator Paul is not expected to make a decision about running for president until after the November midterm elections. So I asked him, what are his considerations? What is he praying for as he ponders this major decision? And what he said is that in the future, he wants to be doing what he's good at. So I'm going to let you read between the lines on that one.
All right, thanks, Jenny. Stay safe there in Guatemala. When we come back, a Brody File commentary on the upcoming midterm elections. I can't wait. See you in a moment. And welcome back to the Brody File show, everybody. Well, look, earlier in the show, we just dissected the upcoming midterm elections. So now, time for the ever popular, ever stupendous, or did someone say stupid pendus? It's time for the Brody File commentary. All right, look, I can sum up the midterm elections in 2 words. Are you ready? Barack Obama. Actually, make it 3. President Barack Obama, because that's all you need to know. He's unpopular, and Democrats running for re-election know it, so they're running away from him like he has the cooties or something. They want nothing to do with the commander-in-chief. Actually, right now, he's more like the commander-in-grief for red state Democrats like Mary Landrieu, Mark Pryor, Mark Begich, Kay Hagan, etc., etc., etc. Look, the way the Brody File sees it, the only question in these upcoming midterms is whether this is going to be a Republican night or a decisive Republican night? The House is in good shape for the GOP. The Senate is there for the taking, and we're watching key states like Iowa, Michigan, Colorado, New Hampshire. What's going to happen in those more purple states? I mean, are Democrats going to fall there as well? Well, look, if that's the case, then the GOP will be doing the wave, as in the wave election, because their majority in the Senate may be more than one seat. Heck, the GOP could actually have a 3 or 4 seat majority come January. Of course, what does it all mean? Well, honestly, it means just one thing: gridlock. I mean, even with a Republican Senate and House, President Obama will veto anything he doesn't like. And oh, by the way, newsflash, he doesn't like a lot of what the GOP has to offer. So it leaves us all back at square one, bickering between parties and all of America hating Congress, and more than half of the country wishing this president would retire to Hawaii. All right, when we come back, John's Movie Corner, a look at the new movie called When the Game Stands Tall. It stars Jesus. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, that's Jim Caviezel, who played Jesus. Anyhow, John Jessup here with that when we return. All right, welcome back, everybody. Look, this has been a very good year for the Christian movie maker. I mean, you've got The Son of God, God's Not Dead, Heaven is for Real. I mean, we've gone from the classroom to the creation. The list goes on and on. Well, the latest film, called When the Game Stands Tall, takes us to the football field. But it's the story of what happened off the field that inspired the film. Have a look.
150 wins. How'd you pull it off?
The streak was never our goal. It's about family and brotherhood.
No matter who you are.
Let some punk pull you down at the 2-yard line.
Dad, please. There's more to life than just football.
Or where you come from.
Doing it, Coach. Getting my baby out of Richmond.
Inspired by the incredible true story.
Meet Buster Matthews. 300 pounds of pure aggression. You're going to face him the whole game.
Find a way.
Coach told us, face your fears.
To stand tall.
All right, but look, before you spend your hard-earned money, we decided to spend John's. That's right, we sent our very own John Jessup to give us a preview of the film. So here he is with another riveting edition of John's Movie Corner. And look at this, John here in your movie corner with the Brody File sign behind
I'll
you.
take whatever I can get.
That's right. By the way, did you get the memo on the red tie?
Looking good there, brother.
Thank you very much. All right, look, tell me what you thought of this movie. I mean, we hear there were some Christian themes in it. What is your take overall?
Well, look, the critics didn't necessarily love this movie. Got mixed reviews. Maybe it was too long. Maybe it was too cliche. But overall, I thought it was a great summer film, especially when you consider the genre. It's a faith-based, family-friendly movie. So overall, I really did enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. I got this. I watched it as well, and I had popcorn. It was a medium, by the way. My wife told me to get the small. But you know, one of the things in the movie, I just felt like it was a little disjointed. It did feel a little long to me. But boy, those themes of this idea of selflessness really seemed to play through the entire movie.
And I think that's where the film really performs well. If you're not a football fan, if you're not a sports enthusiast, I think there's a lot of good drama that's not necessarily pertaining to the gridiron. So there's a good amount to still enjoy. For example, the coach is sidelined because of a health scare, and it really helps him to see some of his imperfections and put things into priority for him. He starts to prioritize what's really important in life. So there are great life lessons, there are great themes, and really great quotes like, you know, the goal was never the streak, or the streak was never the goal.
Right.
And it's not about the perfect play, but the perfect effort from snap to whistle. So I think that there are plenty of great takeaways for anyone who watches the film.
What did you think of Jim Caviezel? Because I got to tell you, I mean, you know, look, he played Jesus. My goodness, was he great in The Passion. And then, of course, he was in this other movie, The Count of Monte Cristo. Crisco was Crisco Oil. That's a good one. He was great in that. I thought he was good in this, though he seemed a bit, I don't know, kind of stoic.
Placid?
Placid.
Yeah.
Was that, maybe that was his character? I don't know.
Maybe that was the character. I thought there was plenty of good acting in the film, and he definitely seemed pretty steady. I thought the supportive acting was really great. Laura Dern, who played his wife, I thought she was good, and Michael Chiklis also did a great job. But I don't know. I think maybe he was just playing the role of that coach as best as he could. There wasn't, I wouldn't say it was the performance of his lifetime, but I thought he did a fairly decent job.
What did you think, real quick? There were some Bible verses thrown in. I think, well, there were a couple of things. I noticed that when, I don't want to give it the whole
go ahead.
Movie, whatever, alert. I will. But when there's a death in the movie, on his I don't know if it was his tombstone, but it was a plaque, I
Right,
think. It
right,
said
right.
James
Yep.
410, which made me want to, I mean, sorry, didn't know James 410 off the top of my head, but it did make me, or at least if you're not a Christian.
Did you go back and look it up?
No, I still haven't done it.
I'll tell you what it was.
Thank you,
it was,
Bible
it was
scholar.
both James and Matthew. Those were two, and Luke, different passages that they referred to. And all of those passages, minus the Luke passage, which is given, it shall be given to you, good measure. But the other two were about exalting oneself and being humble. So I thought that that is, again, another life lesson, another theme that this movie did really well. It's not about the person, it's not about the individual, but it's about the team, brotherhood, and just really hard effort.
What do you think, real quick, about these Christian movies? Do you think they're going away anytime soon? I mean, it seems like there's an appetite for them.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, we reviewed, what was it, Noah earlier this year, and as you mentioned, God's Not Dead, Heaven is for Real. I don't think this is going away anytime soon. I think Hollywood has definitely picked up on the fact that there is a market for this.
We're going to have you back. I mean, well, will you come back?
If you change that to John's Movie Corner, maybe.
That will never change. I just want to let you know. By the way, what did you have at the movie? I mean, is there? I mean, I'm a popcorn guy. You know me.
I had pizza and a soda, which cost me $12.
Great. So you're now in debt. For the
I
rest
am in
of the
debt.
year.
Charge you.
John, appreciate it.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, sir. All right, we're back in a moment with the stupid criminal of the week. We call it our Oy Vey moment of the week. Back in a second. Well, welcome back. It's not too often that we here at the Brody File pay tribute to one state. We like doing that. Hey, we're 10th Amendment folks. But if we were to do that, what better state than the great state of California? It is home to many successful and famous people, right? I mean, Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. Famous chef Julia Child, she's from California too. And of course, who could forget the California raisins? I mean, it ain't the New Jersey raisins. Well, in celebration of all things California, we want to introduce you to Adam Howe. He hails from California too. He's also the star of this week's Oy Vey Moment of the Week. All right, meet Adam Howe. Police say this high-tech criminal had the bright idea to break into a Southern California church. He made off with all types of goodies, cash, laptop, etc. Well, he remembered to grab the stolen items, but he did forget his phone. So police arrive on the scene and they find the phone, and lo and behold, oh, are you kidding me? They see a selfie of Howe. They actually recognized the picture of the neighborhood behind him, so then they went and found the neighborhood, which led them to Howe, which led them to the stolen stuff, and yada, 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 you know the rest. I mean, look, folks, we've warned you time and time again about the perils of selfies. This guy really should watch the Brody File, or better yet, stop breaking into churches. All right, folks, that does it for us. Thanks for watching. Oy Gavolt. See you next time. God bless.